Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Waifuware, the show where we take a look at all those cheap games on Steam trying to bait you into spending your hard-earned dollar at the promise of some digital ass and titty. On today's episode, Dragonia. Developed by B. Luster Light and Sakuragame and published by Sakuragame on May 29th of 2017, this visual novel shoot-em-up will run you $2.19 in peasant Canadian currency. Sporting overall positive reviews, we're gonna take a look at how much it actually deserves this aggregate. I beat this game from start to finish and this is what I experienced. First things first, I was given some intel that this game doesn't have much nudity. Assuming that meant I'd have very little I need to censor, I felt comfortable in installing the content restoration patch and went for broke. Boy, was my intel bad. Now if I clean up some of the footage, it's not even a coherent image. Even the main menu can't be shown with clarity. Still believing my intel was accurate, I assumed that H content was all front-loaded. Of course I was wrong to assume such a thing, and by the time I decided deleting the patch would be good, I forgot what the patch was and where I put it. So get ready to see a lot of mosaic blurs in this video. The options allow us to play the game as a full-screen, windowed, borderless application. There are no options for sound, and the game is super loud, so you might want to turn down the volume before even launching it. Hitting start allows you to start the game by hitting start. At the onset of the game, we are introduced to our main heroine, Feeny. Feeny is a pure fledgling white dragon in the land of Dragonia. Being counseled by a character named Witch, Feeny is informed that many dragon men in Dragonia have been corrupted by a malevolent force of evil, and that the spread of their evil could bring about the destruction of all of Dragonia. It is up to Feeny to locate these dragon men turned evil and purify them before their influence spreads. At least, that's what I got out of the story. This is, after all, a cheap game published by Sakuragame, so let that say what it will about the translation. The game is divided into 7 stages. Each stage has 2 parts. At the end of part 1 you fight a mini-boss, and at the end of part 2 you fight the evil dragon man you're pursuing and the purifying ritual begins. How do you purify them of their evil? Well, by getting them to ejaculate, of course. I mean, is there any other way to get concentrated evil out of somebody's body? Or perhaps to get around YouTube's demonetization bot, we should word this the same way the game does. To purify the evil dragon men, Feeny must allow them to insert their vibrating balanus into the innermost of her vulva until they are comfortable enough to eject the seminal fluid to her innermost and filled her up. Basically, you do this 7 times, then the game ends. I won't spoil the rest of the story because remarkably there is a plot development. So if you want to play this, you have at least that much to look forward to. It took me 5.5 hours to beat this, but if I knew how to best exploit the game mechanics, I could probably do it in 2. So let's talk about the gameplay. First of all, Dragonia actually has some. Dragonia is a top-down shoot-em-up that starts very, very, very easy, but by the end you'll be in a bit of a bullet hell style shooter. Only unlike bullet hells, the patterns you must avoid are random, and sometimes avoiding them is not actually a possibility, depending on where the game spawns enemies. WASD controls movement, left-clicking the mouse clicks the left click of your mouse causing you to fire, and right-click allows you to use your special. Some enemies have a glow behind them. Killing these enemies will result in color-coded power-up drops. On this screen here, they attempt to tell you what each power-up does, but the majority of these are lies. This much should have been obvious and noticed during playtesting, as many of them are given the exact same description. If you play this and are confused, here's what I figured they each done. A blue orb gives you souls. Souls are currency in this game that can be used as experience to level up your HP or power, buy new bullet types, bullet patterns, or special attacks. The orange power-ups restore your HP. Red restores some of your special meter, green gives you a shield for a couple seconds, purple gives you a speed boost that will likely cause you more trouble than you had before. The explosion symbol gives you a satellite character, aka a dragon lolly, to fire alongside you. Getting hit once will kill 1 satellite character and you can have a max of 5 at a time. The P is a power increase and everything else is a different type of weapon. I mentioned earlier that right-clicking on the mouse will use your special, but before doing this you must charge the meter at the bottom of the screen. This meter is charged by killing enemies and collecting red orbs. You can change 3 things about your offensive capabilities: your bullet type, the bullet pattern, and your special ability. Personally, I found that using Horming Shot with a 5-bullet spread and having the final power-up in the list made you near invincible. With this setup, you can charge your special meter incredibly fast. Using the special will give you a speed boost, a damage boost, and a shield. By the time the shield wears off, your special is already charged again, and you can simply repeat it and use it ad nauseum, and nothing in the game can hurt you. The earlier you unlock this loadout, the better, and I suggest getting them as early as possible, as the evil dragon bosses are massive spikes in difficulty. Some abilities and bullet types feel nearly useless. Shots with very little range make it impossible to kill enemies who are scripted to stay a specific distance away from you. In the top right corner, you see how many enemies you must kill before the boss spawns. Eventually, you'll notice other events are tied to this counter as well. For instance, every 200 enemies killed, a large class dragon will spawn. When the counter hits its goal, the boss spawns, you kill the boss, get a cutscene, repeat. And that's it. That's all there is for gameplay. Graphically, the 2D art for cutscenes is nice once you omit the royalty-free looking backgrounds. If you have the content restoration patch, expect this to only reveal as much skin as there would be in the original launch of the game. There is no uncensored genitalia, so if dragon dicks are your thing, well,
get some help.
That's the cutscenes though. The gameplay art is another story. Stages are drab and uninspired. They're simply arenas that if you venture beyond the borders of, you die. Half the time the smaller enemies blend right into the background and it's just a mess to look at. This is especially true in the final stages, when the enemy count is so high, it looks about as organized as the vegetables in a bowl of vegetable curry. Sound effects aren't great, and most of the music is no good either, but there was one piano tune I thought was pretty decent. A few times the game just dropped a shit ton of frames, which even led to a death or two, but it wasn't insanely common. For all that this game is, I can say that it can be okay to boot up from time to time if you already have it. Get a round of gameplay in and enjoy the dragon seminal fluid filled H scenes, then turn it off. Buying it to make a real attempt at completing it though, I wouldn't recommend it. Random spawned enemies made it feel like an exercise in luck versus artificial difficulty. More than anything, the later stages just felt like a chore when not abusing builds that made you invincible. At the very least, the game does have a genuine attempt at gameplay and progression systems. And poor translation aside, it even has a coherent story and some decently written H scenes. Nothing in the game is exactly what I would call great or even really good, but in this series so far, the mere existence of gameplay and a story is worthy of note. If you have it, give it a look. If you don't, you're not missing much. And that's all I'm gonna say on Dragonia. If you guys found this video useful, you know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe, share if you can. Links to socials are in the description. And as always, folks, thanks for watching.
Feeny has come to climax. Her vulva has been filled with the seminal fluid. Feeny immerses herself into pleasure.
Ejected into your inside. Really great.
Feeny is firstly so comfortable to close her eyes to aftertaste the climax. Evil Dragon withdraws his penis out of the vulva filled with seminal fluid. His ejected penis is still hard.